the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers have agreed to give Bronny James something that most second-round picks in the NBA draft don't get: a fully guaranteed contract. Terms of Bronny's contract have not been released, but whatever final terms are negotiated, LeBron's son will have a guaranteed deal. The guarantee means Bronny will not be signed to a two-way contract, which limits the dollar amount and the number of games for an NBA rookie. The guarantee also means that Bronny, the number 55 pick in the draft, will have one of the Lakers' 15 roster spots. Bronny and first-round pick Dalton Knecht will play for the Lakers rookie team in the 3-day California Classic in San Francisco beginning Saturday. Bronny and Knecht will also play in the Las Vegas Summer League, which starts July 12th. The Dodgers scored 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs for a comeback win over Arizona. The Angels lost by 2 at Oakland last night. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California, home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm of Iteris, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you black.
If I had a hammer, I'd a hammer in the morning, I'd a hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd a hammer out danger, I'd a hammer out warning, I'd a hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
I will get to our esteemed guest in just a moment. There's breaking news. No surprise, been breaking news all week, given all this happening in Washington, specifically in the White House. Joe Biden has just said, I am in this race to the end. I am absolutely not thinking of stepping down. I am in this race until the end. I am absolutely not thinking of stepping down. I told you yesterday, I've seen this narrative play out too many times. I ain't going, I ain't going, I ain't going, I ain't going. He's gone. We will see if what he intends to do, stay in this race to the end, will in fact be the order of the day a few weeks, a couple months from now. But for the moment, he says he's in it to the end. He's absolutely not thinking of stepping down, but I've heard that before many times in my career. We will see whether or not he is right or wrong in the days and weeks ahead. Miles, turn that up, turn that up, turn that up. It is my honor in this hour to once again be in conversation. I never lose sight of what it means to just engage him in dialogue, given how iconic Peter, Paul, and Mary are in the history of this country. Noel Paul Stuckey is 1/3 of the iconic folk band Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I'm pleased to have him on to talk about the music and the activism that helped get the Civil Rights Act passed 60 years ago this week. Noel Paul Stuckey, it's been too long. Good to hear your voice, my friend. How are you, sir?
Hey, Tavis. Good to hear your voice as well. And recognizing that Biden is how shall I say, he's got a lot behind him in terms of principle and quality and equity and standards. So he can't, he's not going to drop out, man, because he's bigger than life. You know, what he stands for is bigger than life.
Mm-hmm. And what is your view, since you went there? I assume you have a view. I don't mean to make you political, but you are Noel Paul Sticky, so I ain't got to make you political. You've been political your whole career. So since you took the bait that I put out there, give me your assessment. How are you reading this moment, sir?
Well, I was a little dismayed because we were looking for John Wayne, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
But I got a theory about that, Tavis, and I've been talking about it in concert.
Give it to me.
You know, AI, artificial intelligence, takes a lot of bad raps, and people are scared of it, but what it is really good at is looking at all of the facts that exist and telling you the truth. Now, it can be, you know, you can, how shall I say, you can get in and play with the bias a little bit, but it strikes me that the next debate that we have, I would sure love to see AI take the statements that Trump makes and run them through the ringer and say, you know, this is only 10% true, or this has only 8% validity, or this is total BS.
Right.
I would have loved to have had instant fact-checking, wouldn't you, watching the debate?
No, I would have indeed, which leads me to ask. I mean, it's a great idea. I'm noodling on it, but I think I like the idea. The question I've been asked any number of times, and I want to pass off to you, is this. In a moment like that, where Trump is lying 30-plus times in a 90-minute debate, whose responsibility is it or was it to chin-check him? Was it Jake Tapper and Dana Basher's responsibility? Was it Joe Biden's responsibility? Clearly, he failed in that moment. But when you have that many lies going out that swiftly in a 90-minute debate, two questions. Whose responsibility is it to chin-check him? And how can you do it that fast in real time in a 90-minute debate?
You got it. That's the big question. And that's why. So here's what I see.
Right.
I see. Now, you know about Descript. Many of your listeners probably know about that. If they're interested at all in the spoken word that's recorded being converted into text, if they've ever done that before, there's a program and an organization called Descript that does that. Okay, so, and that's almost instantaneous. I mean, you know, what we're talking about right now, if you were to take the recorder and play that back for Descript, you'd have the text. It might not know who said what, but it would know the what that was said. Then you take that text, you feed it into Chat GPT, and you say true or false, and then give them the text. Now, here's the problem. Mr. Orange Top doesn't speak in sentences. He speaks
Mr. Orange Top.
in circuitous hyperbole, you know, that goes round and round and doesn't have a preposition, it doesn't have a period. I mean, it's hard to keep up with, and by God, I felt so bad for anybody standing on the other side of the stage who had a choice on the spot of either defending his principles or calling out a liar, or speaking to what the future would be if he were elected. I mean, that's not a really fair choice. Because the audience is home and saying, what? Come on, Joe, fight back. And the other half of the audience says, I don't care about them fighting like that. You know what, I was on stage the other night. I said, you know what Joe Biden couldn't have done? He should have put his hands on his hip and said, liar, liar, nose on fire, nose as long as a telephone wire. You remember that when he used to do that in grade school?
Yep.
But that's what it got reduced to, by virtue of the taunts, taunting.
Practically speaking, he lied so much. Unless you know how to do this, I mean, I'm not suggesting I'm the best at this, but I did go to college on a debate scholarship. I was on the debate team at Indiana University. I was a national champion in my senior year. So I know this pretty well. You can't let them throw you off your game so that every time they say something, you say liar, you're a liar, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. But there is a point at which if you do that enough, and you do it effectively, you drive home the point to the audience. He lied again. He lied again. Ronald Reagan did it effectively. There you go again. Just that one line. There you go again. One of the great lines ever in debate history. So there was a way to have done it. And Joe Biden just, again, was not up to the task of doing it in that regard. I digress on that for now. When we come forward, our guest is Noel Paul Stuckey, 1/3 of the iconic folk band Peter, Paul, and Mary. More with him about the politics of the moment, but also looking back 60 years ago and how the music and the activism helped to seed the passage, ultimately, of the Civil Rights Act. They performed. Peter, Paul, and Mary performed at the March on Washington in August of '63, and then months later, the Civil Rights Act gets passed. What a great opportunity today to go back down memory lane with Noel Paul Stuckey on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you can receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Our city's hottest weeks of summer are approaching. If you're 60 or older, you're at risk of heat stroke or worse. Extreme heat can kill. That's why KBLA Talk 1580 is part of our year-long climate justice campaign. Has partnered with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the LA City Department of Aging for LADWP's Powered by Equity event, Heat Relief for Seniors Resource Fair. Join fellow LA seniors who hope to beat the heat and stay safe on Monday, July 15th, 10 a.m. at the Watts Labor Community Action Center in South Los Angeles. Learn about LADWP's Easy Save and Level Pay programs to help lower your monthly electric bill. And there will be tips and resources to be ready and safe in the heat. LADWP customers 60 years or older will be eligible to receive a portable air conditioner while supplies last. Personal ID and your LADWP bill are required. Contact your LA Department of Aging Neighborhood Senior Center for Cool LA Heat Relief for Seniors participation details, or visit www.ladwp.com/events.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Nox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Nox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Nox 47 for free, call now. 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
When I was just a lad of 10, my father said to me, "Come here and take a lesson from the lovely lemon tree. Don't put your faith in love, my boy," my father said to me. "I fear you'll find that love is like the lovely lemon tree. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet."
Peter, Paul, and Mary performed at the March on Washington in 1963, as I said earlier. And some months later, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and we are celebrating 60 years ago this week the passage of the historic and seminal Civil Rights Act. We'll get back to that conversation in just a moment with our guest, Noel Paul Stuckey, 1/3 of the iconic folk band, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Delighted to be in conversation with him once again in my career. I've had so many opportunities to speak to him on radio and TV over the years, and I revel in every one of them. And so I'm just blessed once again to be in dialogue with Noel Paul Stuckey. Again, back to that conversation in just a second. There's more news here, of course, in real time about what the president is saying. The president has defiantly vowed today to keep running for re-election, rejecting growing pressure from within the Democratic Party to withdraw after that debate last week that Paul and I were just talking about. I quote from the president, "I am running. I am the leader of the Democratic Party. No one is pushing me out. I am running. I am the leader of the Democratic Party. No one is pushing me out." You can call that resolve, or you can call that being stuck on stupid, depending on one's perspective. But that is what the President of the United States had to say just moments ago. And also, moments ago, the New York Times has released a new poll. Trump widens lead after Biden's debate debacle. This is a Times Siena poll. Donald Trump is ahead of President Biden by 6 percentage points among likely voters in a new national poll. Overall, 74% of voters view him as too old for the job, which is an uptick since the debate. Let me read the first 3 short paragraphs of this story right now, trending in the New York Times. Donald J. Trump's lead in the 2024 presidential race has widened after President Biden's fumbling debate performance last week, as concerns that Mr. Biden is too old to govern effectively rose to new heights among Democrats and independent voters. A new poll from the New York Times and Siena College showed Mr. Trump now leads Mr. Biden 49% to 43% among likely voters nationally, a 3-point swing toward the Republican from just a week earlier before the debate. It is the largest lead Mr. Trump has recorded in a Times Siena poll since 2015. Mr. Trump leads by even more among registered voters, 49% to 41%. Doubts about Mr. Biden's age and acuity are widespread and growing a majority of every demographic, geographic, and ideological group in the poll, including black voters. And those who said they will still be voting for him believe that Mr. Biden at 81 is too old to be effective. A majority of every demographic, geographic, and ideological group in the poll, including black voters, say that he's too old. So I'm just struck, Noel Paul Stuckey, by this moment that we find ourselves in, where on the one hand, the Times is releasing a poll that Mr. Trump has gained ground since last Thursday. And the president, at the same time, is saying, I'm in the race, I ain't going nowhere, I'm the leader of this party, ain't nobody pushing me out, anything you're reading about me considering getting out is a lie, I ain't going nowhere. How do you square those two things at the same time?
Well, like I said earlier, it's about principle. I think when people put Joe back into office, it's going to be because they understand to a larger extent he is a safeguard of many of the aspects that we call democracy. And I was just reading, I think I told you, I've been reading Heather Cox Richardson and Robert Hubble. They got great comments to make it. And they came across this Thomas Paine quote where he's talking about a government of our own is a natural right. And when a man seriously reflects on the precariousness of human affairs, he'll become convinced that it is infinitely wiser and safer to form a constitution of our own in a cool, deliberate manner while we still have it in power than to trust such an interesting event to time and chance. And so, he said, if we omit it now, some dictator may hereafter arise, remind you of anybody, who, laying hold of popular disquietudes, may collect together the desperate and the discontented, and by assuming to themselves the powers of government, may sweep away liberties of the contingent like a deluge. We have it in our power, Paine wrote, to begin the world over again in common sense. And then, I gotta say, Bertrand Russell says, the rise of fascism is based on fascinating the foolish and then muzzling the intelligent. So when I look at Joe Biden, I mean, I would, frankly, I think you kind of editorialized there. I bet he said, I ain't going nowhere. He probably didn't say ain't.
he did not say ain't, but he did say.
But I do like that down home attitude, bro.
No, he did say I am not going anywhere. I mean, I'm putting my Tavis on it. But he made it clear by any other sentence structure. He made it clear that he is not going anywhere, and so there's that. Anyway, interesting moments and times that we're living in where polls are coming out in 1 minute. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm looking back at 63, as you suggested. You know? And I'm thinking about the men and the principals that were involved, like Roy Wilkins and Philip Randolph and Bayard Rustin, who put that march together. And I think a lot of people didn't realize the prep for that march began in front of the Washington Monument, not the Lincoln Memorial. We all gathered in the early afternoon, and we assembled. We went. They had us. I don't know which one of the organizers had this idea, but by assembling prior to the March on Washington, just several thousand yards away from the Lincoln Memorial, we carried with us then after that rehearsal in front of the Washington Monument, we carried with us a kind of seriousness, empathy, dedication, and focus to that march that wouldn't have been there if we just arrived helter-skelter, and clumped up the stairs and who's going next? Oh, you go next, There was method and principle behind that organizational push for the march. And I think it really worked well. I mean, sure, there were stars there. Hollywood had flown in some people. And yes, music did thread through that event, whether it was Baez and Dylan, singing Times They Are Changing, or whether it was Peter, Mary, and I doing not only Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind, but doing Seeger, If I Had a Hammer, which you played at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But as long as I'm on a roll, Tavis, let me tell you something interesting.
Go for it.
You opened up this segment with a song called Lemon Tree, which now, I grant you, it's a pretty little tune and was certainly the first entry of Peter, Paul, and Mary into public radio consciousness. That was our first song, made it, I think, top 30, and we pulled off the side of the road giggling, honestly, when we heard that on the radio. We'd never heard our voices on the radio before. But the chorus, don't put your faith in love, my boy. How interesting. Over 86 years, which is how old I am now. The love, with a capital L, has become the guiding light, not only for myself, for my family, for my neighbors, but honestly, it is the guiding light for this country, because if we can't talk to each other in love, we're not going to get through the next 10 years, much less the next couple of months until the election. So I think any conversation that proceeds in caring and listening for one another and looking for the best in each other. I wrote a song called Revolution. I don't know if you got it there. You can play it, but it says, I'm going to start a revolution, going to take it to the street, going to smile at every solitary person that I meet. I'm going to wave at total strangers no matter where they're from. I'm going to start a revolution. I'm going to win it one by one. And that really, Tavis, I've always understood a rapport with you, because I think we understand that respect for one another begins on a one-to-one basis and spreads from there. And I'm really hoping that democracy can embrace this concept of active love.
First of all, it was a mic drop, just a mic drop moment, what you just described. And as we say in the black church, amen, is really all I can say is amen to that. But let me beyond the amen, let me take it a step further and offer this, and then ask you a question about what I want to offer. I couldn't agree more. I gave a speech some years ago, and the speech was entitled, Whatever Happened to the Notion of Love in the Public Square? That was my speech. Whatever happened to the notion of love in the public square? King put love in the center of the public square. Gandhi put love in the center of the public square. It took me a while to get there, but Bobby Kennedy put love in the center of the public square. I could do this all day long if I had the time. My question in that speech was, whatever happened to the notion of love in the public square? Here comes Noel Paul Stuckey in 2024 saying to me and to you that we need to put love back in the center of the public square. Well, to do that, it starts for me with a fundamental question. What do we mean when we say love? It is such an overused word, such an amorphous term. What do we mean when we say love? I'm glad you asked. When I used the term love, and when Dr. King used the term love, he simply meant this. Love means that everybody is worthy just because. Full stop. Full stop. Everybody is worthy just because. Put another way, everybody's somebody's child, everybody's somebody's kid, and everybody is worthy just because all life has equal and precious value. The problem with this so-called democracy and around the globe is that people don't believe that the other person's life has the same value as theirs. We don't really believe in this notion that love means that everybody is worthy just because. In this country, we base whether we love folk too often on what their last name is, what color they are, where they went to school, what kind of pedigree they have, how much money they make, what titles they have. We judge people in this hierarchy of America, not based on the notion that everybody is equally worthy just because you're no better than me, I'm no better than you, and that's not the way that things ought to be done. That's the point that Noel Paul Stuckey is making, that love has to be at the center of the public square, at the epicenter of our discourse. Now, stay with me. If we could ever take that definition of love that I've just offered you and operationalize that, implementize that in our politics, it would fundamentally change the America that we live in. And that is the point that Noel Paul Stuckey is making. Here's my point. Stay with me. If everybody is worthy just because, then everybody ought to have access to an equal high-quality education. If everybody is worthy just because, then folks shouldn't be forced to live near toxic waste dumps and end up getting asthma and cancer and other diseases just because of your color, your economic status. You're forced to live over here while I live on a hill over here. No, everybody ain't worthy just because. If everybody's worthy just because, then all of us have access to universal health care. If everybody, I'll stop, you take my point. If everybody is worthy just because, that's what love means, and we could ever operationalize that or implementize that in our politics, it fundamentally changes our public policy. It fundamentally changes this country and its future. That's my story, Noel. I'm sticking to it.
Well, amen, amen, amen. But you gotta admit that in order to enact that in large proportion, you got to drop back down to the one-on-one.
Indeed.
Because that's the way it gets spread.
Indeed.
You know, I do it in the grocery store here in Blue Hill, Maine. I mean, I'm the guy with the cart that comes around the corner and almost runs into you and smiles. Right? And what do you do when you see somebody smiling at you? Well, you're going to get angry if you've got something on your plate, or you're going to smile back, and you're going to file that smile away in your heart, and you're going to take it to the next person you meet. I'm a big believer that love with a capital L is ultimately going to triumph, but in order to spread it, we of the smaller L's got to do our work.
Nope, there's work to be done. You're right about that, but I just love the fact that Noel Paul Stuckey shows up today, 60 years after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, to remind us of what King would have said were he's still here. The vernacular these days is love wins. King put it this way: love is the most powerful force in the world, the only force capable of turning enemies into friends. Love wins. More with Noel Paul Stuckey when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council has reached a $2 million settlement with two African-American students who were shot with a taser during a 2020 protest march. The council voted 13-1 on Monday to settle a federal lawsuit filed by Messiah Young and Tanaya Pilgrim, who were pulled from a car and tased by police in downtown Atlanta while they were stuck in traffic caused by protest over the death of George Floyd. Millions of travelers are out and about ahead of the 4th of July holiday. The TSA says it expects to screen over 30 million passengers through Monday, July 8th. AAA predicting that a record 60 million people will be traveling by car over the holidays, which is nearly 3 million more than last year. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers have agreed to give Bronny James something that most second-round picks in the NBA draft don't get: a fully guaranteed contract. Terms of Bronny's contract have not been released, but whatever final terms are negotiated, LeBron's son will have a guaranteed deal. The guarantee means Bronny will not be signed to a two-way contract, which limits the dollar amount and the number of games for an NBA rookie. The guarantee also means that Bronny, the number 55 pick in the draft, will have one of the Lakers' 15 roster spots. Bronny and first-round pick Galton Connect will play for the Lakers rookie team in the 3-day California Classic in San Francisco beginning Saturday. Bronny and Connect will also play in the Las Vegas Summer League, which starts July 12th. The Dodgers scored 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs for a comeback win over Arizona. The Angels lost by 2 at Oakland last night. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
A Gain St. Bede story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard, his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found the man pouring a bottle of Gain St. Bede into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain St. Bedes. Try Gain St. Bedes. Way fresher than detergents alone.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Areva Merton in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Areva Merton in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm gonna smile at every solitary person that I meet. I'm gonna wave a toast stranger, no matter where they're from. I'm gonna start a revolution. I'm gonna win it one by one. Now the secret of this movement I'd like to share with you. You just pick somebody that you don't know, that's all you have to do. You don't need no other weapon than that smile upon your face. Let them know we're all part of the human race. And if you count, as I'm sure you will, some disbelief is silly you will. Just even still, it's gonna open all this window, unlock every door. We're gonna sweep out every corner, gonna mop up every floor till the eagles are dancing in the jaws of the dragon, sleeping in the lion's den. Yeah, and he falls in love again.
The song is called Revolution. It is by Noel Paul Stuckey, one-third of the iconic folk band Peter, Paul, and Mary. We're playing some of his solo stuff, and obviously the stuff he did with Peter and Mary back in the day. They were honored, and so were those in attendance. Honored to hear them at the historic 1963 March on Washington. And then some months later, the Civil Rights Act was passed. We're talking in this hour about how the music and the activism and the art of that era all blended to help push forward this historic Civil Rights Act, which became law 60 years ago this week. So I'm honored to have Noel Paul Stuckey on this program. It's a great track, Paul. It's a great track. Talk to me about the importance. Now I want to get personal. Talk to me about the importance of lyrics for you.
Well, sometimes a lyric can be challenging if it's just right in your face. Mm-hmm. But if you can talk about a circumstance that you share with the listener and the truth that can be learned from that experience, then somehow they take it into their heart a lot easier. Mm-hmm. If you can get something into their heart, it will ultimately touch their lives. And the doorway from the brain is not always wide open, because we deal with a lot in our day-to-day. Yeah. But there's something about music that just touches the heart and says, yeah, I can agree about that. And I think I told you, Tavis, this organization that I began with my daughter, Music to Life, mm-hmm. She just unveiled on me today how musicians, through what she calls an academy, and the Music to Life.org, by the way, in case anybody's interested, offers academies. She told me about this one musician. I'm just looking at it online now. The classical music uses firearms weaponry as instruments. Now, if that isn't a turnaround, that isn't a, what was it, I don't know, what was it, an anti-war movement from the 60s and 70s, something, it's to make a peaceful, beautiful, musical noise out of a disconnected and abandoned weapon from the past. I don't know, it seems totally beautiful and ironic to me. What a lovely statement. Let's make this music of peace together.
Before I push forward, situate for me, I don't know if I've ever asked you this question, and we've had so many conversations over the years, but situate for me, difficult though it may be, because you've done everything there is to do in your career, but situate for me, looking back 60 years ago, 61 to be exact, in regard to this question, how you regard having performed at the March on Washington. Of all that you've done, situate that for me in your career, performing that day.
I was a young kid from Michigan at the age of 16, and I knew rhythm and blues music. I loved rhythm and blues music. I even tried to write some of my own. I had a band in high school called the Birds of Paradise. So my arrival on the New York hip folk singing scene was like, I was a really ill-informed young kid trying to figure out who this Josh White was, and who this Pete Seeger, and who these Weavers were, and I'll tell you, that was in 1960. So 3 years later, to find myself on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, standing next to Peter and Mary, and Mary saying to us, we are watching history. I recognized that the change that had happened in my heart and in my life, and the realization that music really was a doorway to expressing love for one another, a way of encouraging people to speak to each other, to dance with each other, to, in a very symbolic way. And I was deeply affected by, of course, the number of people that were there. I mean, there were, 250,000 people there, Tavis. Yep. I didn't really think about my singing as performance at all. And I think that that's kind of the hallmark of a folk singer, is we tend to think of our music as being an opportunity to share rather than show off. So the invitation to the audience, and wasn't it amazing that for the one of the few times in the history of the evolution of radio, it had acted as an educational tool, because there were people of that 250,000 who sang "If I Had a Hammer," who sang "The Answer Is Blowing in the Wind." They'd heard it on the radio. They put it into their hearts. So this was a very coalescing moment between a lot of people that happened musically, and it's a lot easier for it to happen musically. I think if it happened with just lyrics, people shouting, it would resemble Nazi Germany, rather than yelling out those kind of words, just to be able to sing them and absorb them and realize that you're standing in a community with 249,999 other people, singing the same lyrics. That was a moving moment, not only for us standing up there leading, but for the folks that were standing in that crowd as well.
No question. I love that phrase. I hope every artist listening to this program right now heard what you said. Your artistry, your gift, is an opportunity for you to share, not to show off. To share, not to show off. That hit me, and I'm glad you shared that with us. So then, what did you make? I'm advancing the story. My time is getting away from me. How then did you process, after being on the stage at the March on Washington, that a year later, some months later, we end up seeing the historic passage of the Civil Rights Act? That had to do something for you, knowing that you had been on that stage months earlier.
Yeah, well, what still blows me away? Yeah. We're talking Lyndon Johnson here, aren't we?
Yep, we are.
I mean, now this is a good old Texas boy.
Yep.
And him stretching out, taking the white weight, as it were, to make this pronouncement of equity and equality for all. I was very moved to have been, continue to be moved by that. I just think that our preconceptions about each other are really suspect, and that's why I'm such a great advocate for the exposure of the heart, Tavis. That's what I want. I want to see people be vulnerable in that way again, and that's what all of the music that I've done since 1970, really starting with the wedding song, has that kind of underlining suggestion and encouragement in it.
Yep. When we come forward, I could have begun our conversation here, but it didn't work out that way. There's breaking news and other things I wanted to get to, but I do want the audience to hear, as I want to hear. You started so young. You mentioned 16 by the time you get to New York, and I mean, literally, you go to New York from Michigan at 16, and 3 years later, you're on stage at the March on Washington. I mean, that you talk about, warp speed for a career. It's almost unbelievable, and yet before you get to 16 into New York and 3 years later on stage in Washington, there is this question to be asked about, what your storyline was, what your journey was, that opened you up to this in the first place. I'm always fascinated by the backstory, like your DNA, your wiring. What was it about your upbringing, your parents, your community? What was that part about that allowed you to be, how might I put it, to be open to be a receptacle for this gift that was placed in you to spread this love in this country and around the globe? I want to hear the backstory, if you will, when we come forward with Noel Paul Stuckey, one-third of the iconic band, Peter, Paul, and Mary, who were out front decades ago working for civil rights and human rights, performed at the March on Washington just months before the historic Civil Rights Act was passed 60 years ago this week. We're talking about it all on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask me information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
More of Noel Paul Stuckey right now, one-third of the iconic band, Peter, Paul, and Mary. The trio didn't just write good music, they lived their songs. And they became a potent force, a social force, a cultural force, a political force. As we established, they sang at the March on Washington in '63, participated, for that matter, in the Selma to Montgomery March, sang at countless anti-Vietnam rallies, and their collective efforts have addressed a wide range of issues over the years, from women's rights to farm worker rights to environmental rights, education rights, and beyond. But all of that starts somewhere, Paul. Tell me quickly, my time's getting away from me. What was it? What happened growing up in Michigan that allowed you to be such a receptacle for this gift that you've shared with us over the decades?
First of all, Tavis, I got to say, you are some humble dude. And saying, my time is getting away from me. That's what our lives are about, man.
Yeah.
Our time is getting away from us.
Is that the truth?
Well, there was a slight exaggeration or misinformation there earlier. I didn't move to New York at the age of 16. It was true. I was singing rock and roll music at 16, but
right.
I didn't. And that was in Michigan. But I grew up in Maryland, moved to Michigan, and then my dad got promoted to a job in Pennsylvania, and I was only an hour and a half out of New York City. And so I didn't move to New York City until I was 20.
Right.
So it was about 2 or 3 years later that I was at the March on Washington.
Right.
But the major change, of which the March on Washington was a part of, and the way that I was brought up, was kind of being open to the spiritual. A lot of people close it down, and it really ticks me off to see the bad rap that spirituality and love with a capital L is getting now because of the Christian nationalism. We're talking about affair of the heart and soul here.
Yeah.
And when I wrote the wedding song, which was a result of prayer for my partner Peter in the 70s, I don't think I knew then that was about a lot more than a single wedding event.
Yeah.
I mean, I am now to be among you at the calling of your hearts. What are we talking about here? Well, whenever two or more are gathered in my name, there am I, and there is love.
In the midst of it,
is the way the lyric came out, and that truly has affected everything that I've written since. And even, to a large extent, guided my decision to read Sojourners magazine, which led to the trio going to El Salvador and Nicaragua. And you're right, a lot of the environmental issues that we became involved in, we recognized that the gift of life, is all around us. We just have to open our eyes and our hearts to it.
It has been an amazing, amazing career. And at 86, he's still doing it. You can hear, as you heard, you did hear early in this conversation, Neil Paul Stuckey, has a soft spot for Joe Biden, and I ain't mad about that. But I'm thinking, he's 86. I don't need to complete my sentence. He's 86. I digress. Our remaining moments with him when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age. Lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you and the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Eggs are a staple in our diet, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
He's rooting for everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Noel Paul Stuckey coming your way right now. 1/3 of the iconic band Peter, Paul, and Mary. We have celebrated in this hour, the last 2 hours, in fact, the 60th anniversary of the historic Civil Rights Act passed this week, 6 decades ago, and it's a moment. It's a moment of reflection, and I'm pleased to have had the opportunity to reflect upon that moment with Noel Paul Stuckey. I got 2 minutes left here. Tell me a bit more, right quick, about the musictolife.org, the work that you and your daughter are doing.
Well, it began as a song contest. We felt that there are a lot of socially conscious musicians out there who were not getting a fair shake. So for about 4 or 5 years, we put out albums with the music, and then my daughter began to discover that these musicians wanted to do more than just sing at a rubber chicken benefit dinner. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They actually had concepts in mind to be a help to the homeless, to be a help to the hospitalized, to be a help to the climate change issues. And so my daughter has begun a much larger and much better supported organization called musictolife.org that has begun academies training helping these musicians, mentoring them, getting them support, financial support, connecting them with the organizations in each one of the neighborhoods that can fulfill their dream and become part of the remedy for many of the ills that face people today. I'm just astounded with her leadership, and at the age of 86, I can sit back and say that about my daughter very proudly. Also, I want to tip my hat to Miles and Jay-Z, who made this program possible for me. You guys, you got a good staff there, a good group of people with you, Tavis, and I wish you considerably more success and good fortune, and thank you for bringing all of these events and these concepts back to our minds and our hearts.
You are a good man, brother. I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I just love you, and that's the mark of a true professional. This guy's been at this for decades, and you see his generosity of spirit. It says everything you need to know about Noel Paul Stuckey, that he would take the moment, the time, to thank my producer and my board out for their role in making this moment happen. That is all you need to know about Noel Paul Stuckey, and that's why I love him dearly. As I said, there's nothing he can do about it, and I'm always delighted and humbled to be in conversation with him and thank him for his working witness as part of Peter, Paul, and Mary all those years ago. Take care, my friend. Hope to talk to you soon. Stay strong.
Okay, babe, you too.
All right. Just like that, 3 hours gone, back here tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is the 4th of July. And so tomorrow and Friday, you'll be treated to the best of Tavis Smiley. We got a lot to choose from. Some great conversations of late you might have missed. But for the holiday and the day after, you'll be treated to the best of Tavis Smiley. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Until then, thanks for tuning in to this program today. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council has reached a $2 million settlement with two African-American students who were shot with a taser during a 2020 protest march. The council voted 13-1 on Monday to settle a federal lawsuit filed by Messiah Young and Tanaya Pilgrim, who were pulled from a car and tased by police in downtown Atlanta while they were stuck in traffic caused by protest over the death of George Floyd. Millions of travelers are out and about ahead of the 4th of July holiday. The TSA says it expects to screen over 30 million passengers through Monday, July 8th. AAA predicting that a record 60 million people will be traveling by car over the holidays, which is nearly 3 million more than last year. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.